Hello and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard list review. Today's list was sent in by Vincent. Thank you, Vincent. Vincent sent this to me via Gmail. As always, guys, there are many ways you can send me your lists. You can send it to me via Gmail, my email, or via email, I should say. My Gmail account is oddworldinhabitant1293 at gmail.com, or you can send it to me as a message via YouTube, or leave it in a comment on one of my videos, or you can find me on the forum Daka Daka, where my username is FatBoyNoSlim. I am thinking about getting a Facebook page as well, but until then, they're the four ways you can send me the lists. So this is a 1500 point list sent in by Vincent, and it's a combined arms detachment. Okay. First thing I would like to say before we even get into the list is, Vincent, this is one of the most well-written lists I have ever seen. I'll try and put it in the comments and hopefully it will translate over, but it's sublime. Like, every little detail is there, all the points costs are there. It's going to sound like a weird thing to say, but it was actually it was a dream to read. I've had a few lists sent in recently which I've had to almost figure out what was in them, and that's not a problem. But this one just stood out as a just very well written. I don't know if you used some software for it, if you typed it out by hand, but either way, I must say, fantastic. Anyway, getting on to the list itself, I see you've put some reservations in. I'll come back to those at the end. Let's go on with the list itself. So the combined arms attachment, HQ section, company command squad. 123 points. You've gone for company commander, and you've given him carapace armor. You've got a veteran with a voxcaster and carapace armor, and then 3 veterans with plasma guns and carapace armor, and then they're all in a chimera. Okay, and the chimera is 65 points on top of the 123. Okay, I'm going to actually run through the whole list for a change, and then come back and break down each bit. Okay. So then you've gone for a platoon command squad, and you've given it a voxcaster. The platoon command's got a bolt gun. The guardsman, one guardsman has a voxcaster, 3 guardsmen have sniper rifles, and you've gone for a infantry squad, sergeant with melter bombs, a las cannon team, and then a melter gun and a voxcaster, and then you've got 1, 2, 3 other infantry squads with melter bombs, bolt gun, las cannon and melter gun. Okay, so that's a 40-man blob I can see there. You've got a heavy weapons squad with 3 autocannons. Okay, and then you've gone for 1, 2, 3 veteran squads in chimeras. All the veterans have got grenadiers. 1 veteran squad has got 3 plasma guns, and the other 2 have got 3 melter guns. And the chimeras are standard, but also with a dozer blade. Okay, so just to recap: veteran squad, 3 plasma guns, chimera, dozer blade. Veteran squad, 2 melter guns, chimera, dozer blade. Veterans, 2 melter guns, 3 melter guns, I should say, chimera, dozer blade. Then you've gone for a 2 Lehman Rusties in separate squadrons, 1 exterminator with a las cannon, and 1 exterminator with a las cannon. Okay. An interesting list, not necessarily a bad one. However, you have spent a lot of points on upgrades, a hell of a lot. So let me go through and give you my personal opinion on what you should strip out. Okay, so company command squad, get rid of the carapace armor, just get rid of it. Okay. You've put the guys in a chimera. That's as much protection as you're going to need. Okay? 3 plasma guns. I personally, and this will answer one of the questions that you asked, which was, I would only take 2 plasma guns because only 2 of them can shoot out of the top hatch. It's a good way of saving 15 points. It does mean, obviously, if you have 3, that you can, if you lose 1 to overheat, you can still keep firing 2 out of the top hatch. I understand that. Or if you get close, you can jump out and double tap at close range. I understand that as well. But the minute, you can get away with just having 2. All right? Voxcaster is situational. Okay? That's your choice if you want to take the Voxcaster. Don't really think you need it, honestly, because you've only got one combined squad which is going to take advantage of the Voxcaster, and you've got a Commissar in there anyway. So to save, which is leadership 9. So just save yourself the 10 points. So get rid of the Carapace Arm, which saves you about 10 points. Get rid of one of the Plasma Guns, that saves you 15 points. Get rid of the Voxcasters, that saves you 10 points. So what, we're on 35 points so far. Platoon Command Squad. That's another 5 points, I think. Yeah, so that's up to 40 points. Get rid of that Voxcaster. Sniper Rifles, don't need them. Keep your Platoon Command Squads as cheap as possible. The more upgrades you stick on there, the bigger a target they become. Okay? They're going to die anyway. Just don't waste the points on them. Okay? So that's 6 points you save there. So I think we're on about 46 points. We'll say 45 for ease of my counting. The melter bombs in each squad, on the infantry squad, get rid. You can only place one grenade in combat. So I know I've said in previous videos, take them all on sergeants. That's true, but I just wouldn't take any. Okay, I wouldn't take any. So that's another 20 points you've got saved there. So we're on 65 points saved. Las Cannon and Melter Gun, fine. I like that combo. That's good. So leave that as is. Your Commissar, if you are not giving him a power weapon, give him a swap out his bolt pistol for a bolt gun. Okay? There's no point in, if he's not going to be doing much in combat, you might as well get an extra bolter shot out of him for free. Okay? Heavy weapon squads with 3 autocannons. We'll come back to that one to answer one of you. Actually, no, we'll answer the question here because you've asked it as a question. 75-point heavy weapon squad. And you've said, would Sentinels be better? I would take Sentinels, personally. But the way that Sentinels kind of work is you take them instead of taking heavy weapons in your blobs, which means your blobs can become a lot more mobile and your Sentinels essentially become your heavy weapons teams. So in your case, you would want to drop all the las cannons on your blobs, and the points you save from that, plus the points from the heavy weapons teams you would use from the heavy weapons squad, you would use to buy yourself a bunch of armoured Sentinels with heavy weapons. That's how it would work. So it's up to you. I would not recommend you take the single level 2 Psyker. My personal sort of code or guideline for taking Psychers is you want a minimum of 4 to 5 warp charges. This guarantees you the ability to get off 1 to 2 psychic spells a turn. If you just take one Psyker, it's not going to do you any good. So I don't think there's any harm with you taking a couple of Scout Sentinels or Armor Sentinels with heavy weapons. Okay. Veterans. 3 veterans squads. But so far, what have we saved? We saved 10, 25, 30, 35, 40 points there. 45 for the snipers as well. 65 for the melter bombs. Okay, so we've saved 65 points so far. Veterans, you've given them all grenadiers. Oh, that's so expensive. I don't know how. I think that's like 20 points per squad. Let me double check before I start moaning about it. If it's not 20 points per squad, it's not too bad. Grenadiers, 15 points per squad. Okay, it's not too bad, but it's still 45 points. Like with your command squads, you've already paid for the protection. It's called the Chimera. You know, why are you paying? You're sort of doubling down. You don't really need to. That would be my advice. You don't really need to double down. So I would dump the Grenadiers. I would. Okay? If you want to keep it, the only squad you should be keeping it on is your Plasma squad. Okay? Only one. because they need the save. They need the 4+ save. Otherwise, don't bother with it, okay? That's kind of what you could use that argument to justify keeping on your company command squad as well, because they have plasma guns. You've taken 3 special weapons in each veteran squad. Again, that's kind of overkill. If you're not planning on getting out of the Chimera, then realistically you should just stick with 2. If you are planning on getting out of the Chimera, maybe having 3 is okay. Dozer blades and the Chimeras. Some of you are going to be surprised by this answer, but I think that's okay. The last thing you need is when you're driving forward to get rid of that big nasty that's rampaging through your lines and you get stuck on a bit of terrain and it fucks your whole battle plan up. Okay. But yeah, you could save another, if you get rid of Grenadiers if you keep it on your Plasma squad and you get rid of it on your Melter squads, that saves you another 30 points, so up to 95, and then you drop a special weapon from each squad. That's 110, 120, 130 points saved. 130 points saved. We're almost up to 10% of your 1500 point list. Okay? That's a big deal. And then heavy, 2 Lehman Russes, 2 Lehman Russ exterminators with no sponsons but a lads cannon, a whole lads cannon. That's just shit. Okay? Like, there's no way of pulling a punch in that case. That just doesn't work. Like, the exterminator for a reason comes with an autocannon. It's designed to shred infantry and light transports. You know, it's either going to struggle to kill anything with its 1 las cannon shot of ballistic skill 3, or it's going to struggle to kill a tank, or it's going to struggle to kill infantry with only the basically 4 autocannon shots. It's not going to do either job very well. I know you're trying to multi-roll it. That's just a bad idea. Don't do that. No. You want to take exterminators? You slap on heavy bolter sponsons on exterminators. Triple heavy bolter plus exterminator autocannon. Those 2 combined, they'll shred a squad a turn. If you concentrate firepower, they will shred a squad a turn. And thanks to all the points we've freed up, you can easily afford it. So overall, I think it's going to be, again, fairly quick list review. Overall, I think the list is pretty good. However, you've spent a lot of points on needless upgrades, and there's a lot of room for saving those points. Only other thing I would mention is you don't have, in my opinion, enough infantry. You've got 40 guardsmen and 30 veterans. That's only 70 dudes. Personal guide, as always, if you've watched any of my battle reports or listened to any of my infantry videos, is you don't go to war without 100 infantry. That's the minimum. You might be asking why. The number 1 reason is if you get attacked by an invisible Death Star at a tournament, you're going to need somewhere speed bumping them, and the thing that does it is infantry. You've got to have some way of slowing your opponent down for 3 to 4 turns. Alright? So, with all the points you've saved up, you could buy yourself a nice big old blob of conscripts. Just throw them in there. There'll be a good speed bump. Conscripts, they might not kill anything every game, but they'll help. But they'll help deal with a visible Death Star. So they won't necessarily kill a lot every game, but they will achieve something every game. Be that taking points, putting pressure on your opponent so he's forced to deal with them, so on and so forth. Right. Let's have a look at some of the questions you've asked. Number 1, what about, basically 75 point heavy weapons squad? We've kind of addressed that. I wouldn't go for the Primera Psyker. I would consider going for the Sentinels. But Sentinels are generally used instead of heavy weapons teams. So the 75 points for the heavy weapons squad, you could probably just leave it. Because those 6 autocannon shots a turn will be okay. But heavy weapons squads die so easily. So I would be tempted to remove it completely. Should I keep the company command squad as a semi-plasma veteran squad? Or would a support build be stronger? Curves, Aquila, Regimental Strength, and Matter Ordnance. Your list is very mech heavy, so even though I don't normally suggest that, obviously I prefer pure infantry, but that's the theme you've gone with. I feel like your company command squad is best suited to support your veterans. Your veterans are going to need orders like bring it down. Your veterans are going to need orders like if I found my target. So I think you're actually okay to keep your command squad like that. It synergizes well. If you had gone for much more infantry, then I would have suggested a support role, but you haven't got too many infantry. Question 3, Grenadiers on veterans, yes or no? Should I always run 3 special weapons on the veterans or company command squad? I've already answered that. That's kind of your choice. It depends if you see yourself getting out of the... If you see yourself getting out of the chimeras, then 3 is okay. There is some argument. I mean, you can even go one step further than what you've done and start fucking putting plasma pistols and everything. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? But I don't recommend you do that. And the exterminators, yes, I've already sort of shredded you for shit on those. The executioner is a good tank, but it is expensive. It's 165 points bare bones, and you kind of have to slap on plasma sponsors on that thing. So you're looking at 195 points per tank, and you shouldn't really take executioners outside of the what do we call it? The steel host, because that gives it preferred enemy, and you need preferred enemy on your executioners because otherwise they overheat and kill themselves, which is bad. So my last comment would be overall is you've got if you're not taking your Vox casters, obviously that saves you 15. This is if you don't make any other changes. If you leave, obviously you want to make some changes, but if you don't make any other changes, well, one last little extra nugget of advice is drop the Vox casters for sure, and instead make that veteran in the company command squad a medic. I don't often suggest medics, but if you're rocking 3 plasma guns, you're going to want to have that feel no pain. It's the only time I would recommend taking a medic. Otherwise, don't bother. So, overall, I think it's a solid list. I think if with a few minor adjustments, you like dropping the melter bombs, tweaking the special weapons in the veteran squads, taking another look at those Lehman Russes, I think you could have a very, very solid list here. It's a different kind of list, which is great because often I've received quite a few of the same lists. It's a very different kind of list, good mix of veterans and infantry. I kind of like that style. If you do have some battle reports, some battles with it, Vincent, I'd be really happy for you to send me in some like after action reports telling me how it did. But overall, I think you've got a fairly solid list, but it does need some fundamental things changing with it. Okay, if you had to take it into battle tomorrow, I wouldn't be 100% confident in you using this list. I really think you should make a few changes to it, but only a few. You've got a very, very solid list here. You've definitely got a solid base, but it could do with a few minor improvements. If you had to take it into battle, you'd probably do okay. You'd do okay, but you're not going to have a hope in hell against things like Eldar, put it that way. But then again, we never do with the Guard, do we? So, But overall, just to finish on a positive note, I think it's a really nicely laid out list, and I do overall think it's a solid-ish list, but you have a few things to change. Okay? So, I hope you found this useful, Vincent. Thank you for sending in your list. To everyone else, I hope you found this video useful and informative. And if you have anyone else has a list to send in to me, of course, please send it in and I will try my very best to review it. I am getting quite a few sent in at the moment, so it will take me a few days to get around to doing your list. Okay? But of course, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.